Welcome to Tea and Tarot with me, your host, Yashna. Each week I'll share what I've learned as I dive deeper into the world of tarot. I've got my cards in front of me, my cup of tea, and I can't wait to share this journey with you. This is Tea and Tarot.
Welcome back to Tea and Tarot. I hope everyone's been having a lovely day, and welcome to December. Can you believe we'll be wrapping up this year in just a couple more weeks? That is absolutely insane to me. The other thing that's insane is the last few months of working on this have passed by in such a blur. It's crazy to me that this is what I'm already filming, and this is the first episode I am recording since actually releasing my podcast. So I talked about it a bit during the little special Thanksgiving episode I had last week, but it has truly been one of the craziest, coolest things ever to me. I have had people reach out with the comments, through email, through just in person, over text, and I received so much love and support for this project, and it makes my heart so happy because this is just a random thing I'm doing to kind of fill some of my free time, learn about tarot, and force myself to really dive into this world more. I say force, but I really want to do it, so this is just a way to hold myself accountable for it. And it's been cool. It's been really, really cool to actually have it out in the world, to know there's actually people listening, that as I am talking, eventually this will be heard by people. So this project feels way more tangible now. This podcast feels very real as I'm now stepping into this new episode. Anyways, that's a part 2 to the whole Thanksgiving heartfelt gratitude towards anyone who is listening to this, to everyone who has been supporting, and to all of you. Thank you. Anywho, with the insanity that is, we will be continuing on our journey with the major arcana, and today we will be focusing on the Empress. The Empress is number 3 and comes after the High Priestess. Similar to how the Magician and the High Priestess are cards that are kind of received and processed in parallel to each other, the Empress and then the following card, the Emperor, are also paired together. The Empress comes before the Emperor, but in the Fool's journey, the idea is that you kind of meet them at the same time, and you are presented with this mother and father figure together. So going through more of the history, in the 15th century, the Empress was part of the Tarot card decks. She was depicted as regal, sitting on a throne with a crown to show her power. When tarot cards began to be linked to astrology, the Empress began to take on additional meaning as the mother archetype. In the 18th century, Antoine and Attila interpretations of the cards more directly linked the Empress to the goddess Isis from Egyptian mythology and other Kabbalistic symbols, really linking her to creation and fertility. Isis was a major Egyptian goddess. I'm definitely only hitting on a couple of her traits with this research, but more so because I'm trying to focus on the parts that will link back to tarot. And if I really do a deep dive into Egyptian mythology, this whole episode could just be about that, because as I have mentioned before, I am a huge mythology nerd, and I could spend all day just talking about it. But anyways, back to the point. Isis was the wife of Osiris, who was the ruler of the underworld. She helped resurrect him from the dead, and from that, she was believed to be able to help provide life after death or help the dead enter the afterlife. She was also the mother of Horus, one of the most significant Egyptian deities in mythology, and she was his protector and similarly seen as the protector of pharaohs overall. This part of her role is what really showcased her as a mother figure who was nurturing and protective of those she was concerned about and those who she thought of as her own. Additionally, she was known to have great magical power, more than any other god, and it was believed she governed the natural world and held power over fate. This is reflected more in later decks with the Empress's ties to nature. As a total side note, this little dive back into Egyptian mythology really makes me want to reread the Kane Chronicles, because that was my introduction to this world when I was younger. Love Rick Riordan and all of his books. And who knows, maybe I will go back and reread that series that I have not read in, oh gosh, a really, really long time. But it might tie really well with some of these themes that I've been researching. Back to the Empress tarot card. In the Rider-Waite deck, she is also connected to Venus, who is the Roman goddess of love, representing warmth and abundance. Her Greek counterpart is Aphrodite, who some may be more familiar with. Before Roman times, Venus was seen as much more than just the goddess of relationships. She was also seen as the Earth Mother and the embodiment of nature herself. So, from the historic ties of the Empress card to other goddesses to history, you can kind of already get a sense of what this card might mean. Looking at my cards and what I have in front of me, in the Light Seers deck, the Empress is truly representative of Mother Earth. There's no other way to read this card, really. She is a pregnant woman and her stomach is Earth. So the baby in her womb is Earth itself. She is gazing at her stomach in a loving way, showing some of that nurturing side. She's barren of other clothes, and on her shoulder there are waves embracing her, and her hair looks to be made of vines, twigs, made of the earth. In the corner above her is the moon, and there's a series of white dots that kind of look like stars circling the moon and then connecting back down to the earth at her stomach. In the Rider-Waite deck depiction, there is a woman sitting on an elegant chair outdoors. The chair has cushions and it has kind of a red covering on it. She herself is wearing a white gown with some sort of fruit on it, and she wears a crown of stars and carries a scepter. Behind her are different trees, and at her feet will look to be wheat. Next to her is a stone or some kind of object shaped as a heart that has a symbol of a woman and also kind of looks like the Eye of Isis, but I will get back to that as I look into the symbolism more. So, looking at some of the symbolism in more detail, the crown that the Empress is wearing in the Rider-Waite deck has 12 stars on it. 12 is a major unity number in history. It connects her to the 12 astrological signs and shows her influence over the universe. Her wreath, which is just below the crown, represents peace and success. The pearl necklace she wears represents wisdom. The necklace she's wearing actually has 7 pearls on it, which are linked to the 7 chakras. So kind of another representation of the Empress's link to life itself. On her dress, the fruit that I cannot at first identify are pomegranates, which represent fertility, death, and rebirth. It's also a nod to the story of Persephone and her mother Demeter as well. Persephone was taken to the underworld by Hades, and she would have been able to return to Earth, to the above world, if she was able to not eat anything while she was in the underworld. But while she was there, she ate 6 pomegranate seeds, so she could not fully return. Her mother, Demeter, in her deep sadness, cast the world into winter. So the gods struck a deal with Hades that Persephone would be able to spend 6 months with her mother, and then the other 6 months with Hades. This shift and back and forth explain the seasons and how nature kind of fluctuates over the year. The shield, not a rock, by the Empress has the sign of Venus on it, which is a circle with a cross below it. It kind of looks similar to the knot of Isis, but it's not actually the same. And this is what is used as the universal symbol for the female gender. And then at the very bottom, what I thought was wheat is actually corn that is ready to harvest. I don't have much else to say about the Light Seers deck except kind of reiterating what I said before, that it really does symbolize Mother Earth. And in the Light Seers deck, the Empress is really portrayed more closely to Gaia, who was the Greek goddess of Earth and considered the mother of all life. So jumping more into the meanings of these cards, the Light Seers deck has the little snippet that says, quote unquote, "I am ready to give birth to my abundantly rich future." In the Ultimate Guide to Tarot, the snippet is "Life is abundant." I've already kind of touched on these themes just with the history and the meaning of the cards, the symbols in them. So it shouldn't really come as a surprise, but in the upright position, the Light Seer meanings for this card are encompassing the divine feminine. It represents creativity, fertility, motherhood, unity, being nurturing, abundance, and unconditional love. This is a positive card and indicates that you are surrounded by that unconditional love or providing that for others. Share your love and creativity with others and trust that you can help care for those around you if you wish to. In the reverse Shadow Seer meaning, it has more connotations for infertility, overwhelmed emotions, shutting down, needing self-care, negligence. It can mean that you're being materialistic or that you're being overly protective or overly dependent on others. It typically means that you need to take time for yourself rather than focusing on others, and make sure that you're still grounded and connected with the nature around you rather than focusing too much on superficial things. As with all other cards, you can take that general interpretation and really just apply it for more specific readings over time, but some more of the interpretations for a focused reading, when you're talking about love and relationships, this card generally indicates a good time to start a new relationship if you're single, or signifies that things are going well or might enter a more harmonious period in the future. Around relationships with your family, the card indicates to focus on your nurturing side and really care for those around you to build stronger unity. In the reverse position, it means don't change yourself or put too much of your own energy into other relationships. People might be coming your way, but they're not quite the right partner yet. You might be scared of rejection or scared that you're not being cared for enough, but don't feel too dependent on others and try to build a harmonious relationship instead. For a reading around money and career, this card focuses more on your creativity and may indicate needing to tap into that side of yourself more, or allowing yourself to focus on what your creative side is telling you. That could mean imbuing more of that in your daily life, or focusing more on some of your creative projects instead of whatever you've been putting all your attention into recently. In the reverse position, it could indicate that you don't find work fulfilling and you find it lacking in creativity. You might feel insecure and unappreciated, but that's not necessarily the case. Take time to reflect and understand why you feel that way and what you can do to spark your creativity at work again. So, really focusing on the creative side of this card. For health readings, this card is a huge fertility card. If you're trying to get pregnant, this is one of the biggest indicators of that and is a great omen. If you're not trying to get pregnant, it could be a warning to be cautious. In the reverse meaning, still around pregnancies, it could indicate an unwanted pregnancy, difficulties to get pregnant, or a miscarriage. Things might be tough for some time, but remember to take care of yourself through that journey. Outside of pregnancy readings around health, the Empress could also indicate taking time to nourish yourself and listen to your body signals, both in the forward and the shadow seer position. Around spirituality, the Empress is reminding you to listen to your instincts and take time to connect more with the nature around you. In the reverse position, it could mean that you've been disconnected for too long and really need to reconnect. That's pretty much a wrap on the meaning behind the Empress. And as I've kind of said a couple times, it's a great omen of a card and really does represent the divine feminine. And next week I'll be talking about the Emperor, who is her counterpart and represents the divine masculine. So they really balance each other out in that regard. Before jumping into the tarot reading for this episode, I do have some other trivia and random tidbits to share out. One very interesting piece of trivia that I found is that the Empress card from the Rider-Waite deck is on the back cover and inner sleeve of Bob Dylan's 1976 album, Desire. I will be sharing a photo of this on my Instagram story, and for anyone watching on YouTube, it is up right now. The Empress card meant a lot to Bob Dylan's wife, Sarah, who kept a large version of it in their hotel rooms during tour. She had a deep interest in tarot and shared a lot of that with Dylan when they first met. And if you listen closely, many of his songs reference tarot themes as a result of that influence, which is pretty cool. I had no idea about that. Cool. That wraps up all my knowledge and all the content I had for the Empress. I am going to take a short break, and when I'm back, we'll be doing our latter half of the episode tarot reading. So stay tuned. We are back, and for today's reading, I am joined by a special guest star, my number one supporter and listener of the show so far, my mom.
Hey, hi Yashna, I'm so excited to be here.
If you hear some background noise or notice that the video angle is very different, that's because we are filming this while we're on vacation together in Hawaii, and our place we're staying at is oceanfront, which is super sweet, super cool, and I thought it'd be really fun to do our tarot reading together here. So hopefully the audio comes out nicely, but this will be the focus, and it's perfect because this is getting tagged on to the Empress episode, and the Empress is literally representative of a mother figure, and this is my actual mother. So
Yay, me.
this will tie together nicely, and we're going to do an Empress creativity spread. But before we get into that, how long have you been doing tarot? Because I know you also have your own tarot deck and do tarot readings for yourself.
Yeah, so I got my tarot deck after you. So you were the one who did start off with that. And then, as you and I were looking at different decks, I got more interested in it. But just for fun, I wanted to combine my own art stuff into it. So I bought one which was like color your own tarot deck. And I just made like 2-3 of those, and it's still sitting there. But after that, I realized that's not going to go anywhere. So instead, I got a tiny deck, which is like a mini tarot card deck. And I started just doing self-readings for fun. And actually, it turned out to be very interesting and very helpful to me as, just for self-reflection or times when things were a little not going my ways. Typically when, if I'm doubtful about something is when I pull them out and then I'll read them and do a self-reflection, and they really resonate with me. So as I did a couple of them and found them very helpful, I've been doing more and more of those. And I love my little tiny deck.
We will see, but we're going to try and also do a reading the other way, where my mom will do a reading for me, and then that will probably get tagged on to one of the other episodes. and then we'll get to see her tiny deck. I am going to grab this tarot deck. The shuffling won't be as in frame this time just because of the angle at which we're sitting and trying to make the best of the setting. But I am shuffling this first. And now I'm going to give this to my mom to shuffle, and it'll be out of frame a little bit, but that's okay. But just shuffle it with the thought of creativity in mind, what you want your next projects to be. Just creativity is the main focus of this reading, so that's what you should think about. Also, I should note, this reading is from the Lightseer's guidebook that I finally just got in the mail. We are recording this reading after I got the book, but I recorded the content of the episode before, so I don't break down all the symbols of the Empress, but we are going to do the Empress spread that comes in the book, which is really cool. Cool.
Feeling the cards over, feeling for me.
Okay, now we're going to split the deck 3 ways.
Okay. And I've seen that you typically split them this way. You know, when I do mine, I split my cards. I let my cards split for me. So I spread them out. And then the ones which stand out are the ones which I pick. So
I do
it's
it
very
that way as
interesting.
well sometimes,
Yeah.
but yeah, usually I do it this way. So, first card again, to help focus the reading, is the Empress. We're going to flip over the first card, and the way these cards are going to work is it is what is blocking you, or kind of an obstacle to your creativity. What is your next project going to be, or what does your next path look like? And then the last one is, what is your muse? So the first one, what is blocking you? 3 of Pentacles. The lighting is like a little weird here, so I'm trying to get it as best as I can. 3 of Pentacles. The second card that is path forward is the 6 of Wands reversed. And the last one, what is your muse, is the Ace of Pentacles.
Interesting.
What's really funny is my dad will not realize it, but he's actually in the camera view right now.
Okay, we continue with the reading though.
It's okay, he's tiny in the background. We'll continue with the reading. That's super interesting. One moment.
So it's
have been-
becoming a family participation is there.
We're gonna call my dad right now to let him know he's in the frame, so he can at least know, give his permission to be in the media, you know? Okay. Anyways, so moving on to the reading. You ready? So, we're both novice readers, so it's okay. But 3 of Pentacles as your first card is also kind of what is blocking you or what might be an obstacle. This card is all about community. It's about learning together, teamwork, trying to accomplish your goals, but finding peers or mentors to do it with you together. So, seeing as it's kind of your obstacle or blocker card, it might mean that you need to find people around you to help you on your creativity path so that you're not working on it alone. You need to find what that community is to help you grow into your skill sets more. Or maybe there's people around you influencing you in a poor way, but that's kind of an interesting one where it falls in the obstacle section. The 6 of Wands typically is about accomplishments, feeling like your wins are being seen by others. In the reverse shadow seer position, it could mean like you want more external acknowledgement, but the path to success comes more from internal validation and not necessarily seeking external validation for your work and your creativity. It could also mean that you feel an internal sense of failure or hesitation, but as long as you continue on your path and you know what you're trying to get out of what you want, you will accomplish your goals, and others will see what you are doing as long as you focus on yourself and your own like internal validation of what you're seeking. So that's kind of interesting. And then the last one, as the Muse card, is the Ace of Pentacles, which is very representative of new ideas, new beginnings. It's the first of the Pentacle cards, and the Pentacles are representative of ventures and new accomplishments and goals that you're setting off on. So it really is like your Muse is going to come from finding new ideas, trying to really follow the path of whatever new ambitions you have. So it may take some time to figure out what that idea is, or you might already have that idea and you just really need to pursue it and make it your Muse. So that's my amateur reading of your Empress spread.
Interesting. Yeah. No, but this, I think these cards do tell a story in a way. I mean, it does, of course, as we're older, there's, it's about also which phase in life we're in. So there's this phase of life where, of course, if I think of the overall achievements of what we've accomplished, just as a family and even professionally, there's been a lot that's positive and could be defined as successful. But at the same time, there's this feeling of now what's next. And I think that's where also it comes to the hesitation. Like, professionally, you work on a job to pay the bills. You need to make ends meet, right? But that's not always as fulfilling. And there's, as you know, I love doing lots of arts, trying different creative things. And that's where my true passion is. But then there's always that hesitation because art never pays, so you can't pay the bills with it. But maybe now I feel I'm at that point in my life where I can invest time into doing things that I would enjoy and would bring just personal fulfillment. And though at times, I feel like, okay, do I really want to invest more time into those things versus just enjoying life and taking time to travel, have vacations, because everything takes effort and takes time to do, right? But there are a lot of new ventures that I want to do, new things I want to try. Just like you have started your own podcast. I started writing a blog a couple of years ago. I did that for a few months and then gave up on it. But maybe that wasn't the thing, even though I know that people actually would come back and tell me that they really enjoyed my writing. But I want to take it to a different level. There's this thing where I know my writing resonates with a certain kind of reader, but I want to write a book maybe instead and accumulate all of those ideas into something where I can put it all together in a more consolidated manner and then publish it as a book. But again, maybe that's one of the new ventures that the last card is reading towards.
And maybe you just need to find that community that will help support you through it, or people who have similar interests to do it with. Because there's
definitely
a little bit of accountability.
And the community and having a support system that you can resonate with is very important, right? There are certain, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances, but there is a feeling where, if you think of, who's in your support system, who's your one person that you could call in the middle of the night and just vent or talk to, or, have a no judgment call, that's very hard to define, right? Even though all three of you as my kids are, of course, unconditionally, I know will support me. But you're not my go-to night call person. I have friends, but my closest friends are in India, I
Okay,
think.
she's so mean.
And your dad is definitely not that one person. He would be like, go to sleep. But yeah, having a support system who can, help you continue to grow in your passions, ambitions. You need that like-minded person or like-minded support system. Maybe I should join more clubs or something to do that. Maybe as you know, work has not been the best in the last couple of years, and I'm just waiting to get a change from that. But I think when you are because work has really been very stressful in these last couple of years, and I feel surrounded by people who are not there for you at work. It really weighs you down. It also keeps you from doing and following passions that would bring positivity into your life, right? So I think I have to make a conscious effort to actually move away from the negativities and then just surround myself with things which will bring positivity and vibe. So in that way, yeah, I think these cards do speak the truth.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe if you do publish a book or become famous, then you can help promote my podcast.
Oh, definitely. I could say I was inspired by these cards because they're telling me what to do.
I'm glad it resonates. And I kind of mentioned this at the start, but I've done tarot readings for my mom before. So this is not like a new process for us. And the readings always resonate. But we will have a part 2 to this segment in another episode where she'll do a reading for me. And I don't think we've ever done that before.
We haven't.
I've never gotten a reading for you.
No.
From you. Yeah.
No.
That will be super fun. But thank you for joining me and doing this for my podcast.
Thank you for having me, Yashna, and I wish you so much luck on this. I know the audience for this may be limited, but I'm so inspired that you're doing this. This is a lot of effort and a lot of time, and you're still doing this because you feel the passion for it, which is also very inspiring to me as a parent, and I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, Mom.
Love you.
Thank you. Join me next week to break down the Emperor. See you then. Thank you for listening to Tea and Tarot with Yashna. This episode was produced, hosted, and edited by me, Yashna Bunsell, and brought to you by Tea Time Podcasts. The tarot reading was done using the Lightseers deck by Chris Ann, and all card visuals are from the Lightseers deck and the Rider-Waite Smith tarot deck. Music was made using SoundRaw. Research was done using the Ultimate Guide to Tarot by Liz Dean, the Lightseers Guidebook, Wikipedia, and tarotguide.com. Join me next week for another episode of Tea and Tarot.